Hello and welcome to Techiechap. In today's episode I am looking at a legend of Slackware, and that is Salix OS. Salix has been around forever. Well, not literally forever, but it has been around for a very long time, and releases of Salix are very few and far between. In fact, the last release of Salix was 6 years ago, and this version 15 was just released early September, and we're going to be diving straight into it after the intro. Right, here we are. This is the Salix desktop that you get after running through the text-based installer from the live USB. And the text-based installer, I will say, was very straightforward, has some useful tips if you choose the guided route to go through the installer, and makes it very easy for someone like me who's a newbie to Slackware to get this up and running. And yeah, first impressions is it looks pretty sharp, as I would expect, given that this is running on the latest version of XFCE 4.16. So the very latest version of XFCE. So that's really nice to see. Down here we have a Windows-esque type bar or panel. In the bottom right hand corner we've got the logout options. We have a little calendar and time down here. We've got the show desktop icon. We've got our spaces here. We've got a link to the audio controller with a link to the audio mixer as well, which I think is really useful and should be included in all distributions, to be honest. We've got our OBS studio, which is busy recording down there. And we have our network manager, and Wi-Fi has worked out of the box on my Dell E7440, which is back up and running now that I have a new hard drive installed. Okay, down here we have the running applications, and over here we have File Manager, which is based on Thunar. And in fact, it's the very latest version of Thunar, which is 4.16.10, because this is the latest version of XFCE tools installed. And as you can see with Thunar, that the thumbnails are working out of the box as well, which is good to see. Being the latest version of Thunar, if we just quickly take a look at the File Manager preferences, you get to choose the size of these icons, the behavior, so you can choose KDE-esque like experience where you single click to activate icons. You can open folders in new tabs or on middle click, which is quite nice. So it's got some nice little features built into here as well. Let's just close that. First impressions of this actually is it is super slick and super snappy. Okay, here we have a shortcut to the web browser, and it's Firefox as one would expect on Linux distributions. And about Firefox, we find out it's the extended support release, which is version 102.2. Now the extended support release is fine, given that Salix is essentially a long-term release. It's based on stability. You're not going to get, given the history of Salix, you're not going to get a major version release for quite some time, given that this release was 5 or 6 years in the making. So it's good that it's the extended support release of Firefox built in. Then we have something akin to LeafPad, but not quite LeafPad, which is like a little notepad. It's quite nice. That's there on the panel. And here we have our terminal emulator. So XFCE 4 terminal, which also has tabs built in as well. And if we just have a look to see what Linux kernel we are running, we can find out we are running 5.15.63. All right, so let's click on this Salix Online on the desktop, and that will take us to the Salix homepage. So Salix, Linux for the lazy slacker. Salix is a GNU Linux distribution based on Slackware that is simple, fast, and easy to use, with stability being a primary goal. Salix is also fully backwards compatible with Slackware, and so on. Features are one application per task on the installation ISO, fully backward compatible with Slackware, optimized for desktop usage, high quality package repositories with dependency support, incredibly fast package tools, simple and fully localized system administration tools, supports 32-bit and 64-bit architectures, which is fantastic. Installation wise, you do get the option of full, basic or core. I'm currently running the full installation, so I've got all the tools installed. I've got all of the things. So what's interesting about Salix is it is a community based distribution. It does take a long time between major releases, but that is because the team say they have to essentially check and make sure each application works within the Salix repositories. And we'll just take a look at that now. And that means they've checked thousands of applications in the software repositories, which is quite something when you think there must be a good 30,000 applications out there. The application manager is called GSL apt. As you can see, I've installed Kden Live on here because, as with all my videos, I will be looking to create this video using this distribution on this laptop, just to see if there are any bugs or any issues. So far I can say I haven't experienced anything like that. So let's do a search for something like Shortcut. So I haven't installed Shortcut, and as you can see, it's very quick to search. If I click on that and click on install, you see that if you've ever used something like Synaptic Package Manager for installation, it is very, very similar. And then once you've clicked on install, you click on execute, and that will then go off and install that Shortcut application. Very quick, very easy. We just go up to the menu up here and we go to preferences, where you can check out the sources. And what's nice actually when you install this distribution is that you get to choose where those sources are pulled from, or where the repositories are. In my case, I'm based in the UK, so I'm actually using a UK repository, and that means installing applications is super quick on here, because I'm pulling those applications from a local repository. And yeah, that is really impressive and really nice. I think because Slackware is been around for such a long time and has such a wide user base, the fact that there are so many countries to choose from for your repositories is a real bonus in terms of installing applications and getting your applications installed quickly. Really good. So that's the application manager. Applications that come with Salix, you get your kind of, if you've ever installed XFCE, particularly XFCE4, you'll know a lot of these applications already. What I can say is that this particular release supports GTK3 out of the box, so that's fantastic. Again, we've got another notes app, we've got a basic screenshot tool, and we have quite a lot of applications here in the full release that are available to you. Also a lot of development applications. We've got some graphics tools here, so you get LibreOffice with this installed as well. So in fact, we'll just click on LibreOffice. We'll find out what version of LibreOffice we are running here. Okay, so I've just launched LibreOffice Draw. Let's check it out. All right, so 7.4.0.2. So yeah, very recent version of LibreOffice, comes with Salix. Fantastic. Under graphics, here we are using the Ristretto image viewer, which is just really for viewing your images, and the GIMP application for your sort of Photoshop type activities, touching up your photos and making them look nice. Internet, as I've said earlier, we've got Firefox by default, but we also get Pigeon for chat, transmission, for downloads using BitTorrent. Clausemail is your email client for connecting to things like IMAP and POP3. And we also get Avahi SSH server browser and VNC server browser as well. Multimedia, we've got a number of multimedia tools, and what I did like was you have this application to install multimedia codecs, because you don't get those proprietary multimedia codecs in Salix by default. So rather than having to launch the application manager and then search for those multimedia codecs, you can install them all using this simple tool. And what's nice about this is it makes it easy, but also you do get the option to remove this application once it's finished. Now I've kept it on here just to show you that's the application that you use to install multimedia codecs, but again, it's a nice level of thought that's gone into Salix to have that, and also the fact that it gives you the option to uninstall it afterwards is I think quite thoughtful. You get Exhale for your music. Kden Live I've installed manually. OBS Studio I've installed manually. Parole Media Player is your default media player. Pulse Audio Volume Control, I've also installed VLC Media Player. XF Burn for burning those old CD and DVD if you want to. And also Jack Audio Visualization as well. As I've mentioned, we get Office, LibreOffice, and you also get the Etrial Document Viewer for PDF viewing. If we just take a look at the settings now, so we get settings and we get system. And actually, I think if I go, let me go here. Hopefully that, yes, it does. So that's what I was looking for, was all the settings in one place. In a kind of OpenSUSE type way, but it seems like more and more Linux distros are actually doing this now, where they're putting all the settings into one place, which is quite nice. So in here you've got appearance, so let's just have a look at that. You do get Salix Dark, so let's take a look at that, and that actually looks really quite slick, quite nice, and everything changes immediately straight away. So I really like that. And let's go back into settings again. All right, clipboard manager settings, desktop settings. Let's see what's in there. Okay, so your background or your wallpaper. You get a nice selection of wallpapers here. Pretty funky, and they change straight away. That's very funky. Here we go. I'm not sure if I'm making myself old-fashioned by saying it's funky. But they do look quite nice. I'm going to go back to that one because I think it looks quite clean. Actually, I like that one. That's quite nice as well. Anyway, don't want to get too distracted. Icons, you can choose your icon themes and the size of your icons. You also get to choose show thumbnails here as well. Default icons are the ones that you see on the desktop there. That's all nice. If we go back to all settings, things to look at. So you've got panel settings. You can also change the appearance of the panel. So you can change the opacity of it or opacity of it as well. So it becomes a little bit more transparent. Obviously, if I just change the background now, go to desktop, let's change it to something white or grey. Okay, it doesn't look like it's changed anything in the panel as such in terms of transparency. But let me just go to settings again. All right, panel, appearance. Okay, I might be missing something there. What's dark mode? There we go. I'm just fiddling now. All right, okay, so you get some extra options here. That's quite nice. So the icons kind of changed, particularly for a dark mode setting. That's quite nice. Panel profiles. So you've got you can have different profiles here. So you've got the Salix default, you've got the current configuration, which has now been changed to dark mode. That's all quite nice. Window Manager tweaks. Okay, so Window Manager tweaks. You've got a few things in here. Okay, so if we wanted to switch the workspaces, minimum size of windows to trigger smart placement. Okay, so there's some nice little tweaks in there as well. I'll go back into settings again. Workspaces, X screensaver, so you do get a screensaver as well. You also get terminal settings. You've got a nice options on your screen, so that looks good. Mouse and trackpad. Right, so buttons and feedback. So recognize my mouse there. Behavior. Okay, I don't see any gesture support here. So let me just see. Touchpad. Oh no, there's a little bit, 2-finger scrolling, but yeah, no, there's no real kind of gesture support in there as such, which is a little bit of a shame. Right, okay, other settings editor, and then you can really get into it and really, modify pretty much anything you want in this settings editor. That's pretty cool. So if we go down here and we go to system, we can see there is FlatHub support built in as well, which is fantastic. If I just click on FlatHub, it will take you straight to the FlatHub page, and you can go ahead and install the applications that you want from here, which is also pretty nice. You can even install Google Chrome or Spotify and so on. That's if you can't find those applications within the GSL app package manager. Also within system here, you've got Techiechap. So we'll just launch that now. We'll take a quick look and see what we have running, given that I have OBS running here at the moment. So 1.08 gig out of my 8 gig available, so that's pretty good. CPU is looking pretty decent actually. I would say this is definitely one of the lighter distributions, Linux distributions, and it also feels like I'm not sacrificing looks over speed. So for example, some Linux distributions, they will run in a low amount of memory and not tax the CPU too much, but you kind of sacrifice a bit of the sort of look and feel of the distribution for the sake of speed. And in this case, I would say actually it still looks and feels great and modern, and it still feels very, very snappy indeed. Other things within the system menu here, you've got access to your system clock, system language, system services. You can configure your system services tool. So if I just click on that, that's kind of like a service manager. So you can go through here and enable certain services, which is all very, very nice. So what do I think of Salix 15? Well, I think it's a very, very solid release. And for my first experience of Slackware, it's very, very impressive. And I think also a brilliant, brilliant introduction to Slackware as a whole. Certainly a good entry point if you've not used Slackware like me and are a bit nervous about installing Slackware. this is a fantastic entry point to actually start using Slackware. So I am very impressed with Salix 15. You can tell that a lot of thought has gone into this release from the Salix and Slackware communities. I would say Salix and Slackware are as close to the original Unix as BSD is to a certain degree, except it's Linux. So you do get the advantages of the compatibility with all the Linux apps that you would expect, as well as a very fast, very lean, very decent looking distribution. XFCE 4.16 looks fantastic, very, very sharp, really optimized for HD screens, looks great. So as a rating for Salix 15, I'm going to definitely give this a 4 out of 5. I'm very impressed with this distribution, and if you're looking to get into Slackware and you're looking for an entry point, I would say Salix is that entry point. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and if you have, then please click on like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching.